Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal, back with another live show. As always, in today's video, we are going to be talking about the latest on Eze and then the latest on departures. We have updates on Trossard, on Martinelli, on Kiwior, on Zinchenko, and first, Eze. A lot of updates from Fabrizio, from Sammy Mokbel, from Ben Jacobs. So we'll go through them one by one, and let's start from this one. Fabrizio Romano, he says Tottenham are back in talks for Arsenal target Eberechi Eze. The attacker is keen, but deal depends on Crystal Palace. So, as expected from last week when Maddison got injured and Son left, Tottenham are interested in getting Eze as well. But I remember what I said last week. If Arsenal really want Eze, we are going to get Eze. The same with Zubimendi. Madrid came in for him later on. Liverpool wanted him, and other players that we've tried to sign, like Gyokeres, and Man United tried to come in for him later on. If the player really wants Arsenal, and Arsenal feel like they've already done the background work and they're going to get him, then there wouldn't be any need of worrying. But it depends if Arsenal really want Eberechi Eze. But Tottenham, as expected, because of those injuries and the Son departure, they're coming in for Eze. There's no way we're going to have a free path in terms of getting Eze. There's definitely going to be some competition. Now, it depends on how much background work Arsenal have done, and it depends on how much Eze wants to join Arsenal rather than the other teams. I'm sure there's even another team that is going to come in for him apart from Tottenham. So that has always been the case. It doesn't matter what time we'd have signed him. There definitely would have been teams that come in for him. So Tottenham want him. Tottenham are the first team to actually want Eze before Arsenal, and then Tottenham went quiet on it because we were told at that point that Tottenham expected this guy Eze to go to Arsenal, and at that point Tottenham wanted Gibbs White. Tottenham thought they had gotten Gibbs White, so they forgot about Eze and they said, we think he's going to join Arsenal. We are wasting our time. So obviously, since then, Gibbs White didn't join Tottenham, and on top of that, Maddison got injured and Son left. So they've ended up coming back for him. And as of now, it depends on how much work Arsenal have done on Eze over the last 1 month since Tottenham stopped being linked to Eze. If we've done enough work, then we're going to get Eze without any worries. Now, since we got Declan Rice, I've never really been worried about other teams coming in for players. Man United tried to come in for Gyokeres. We know Real Madrid tried to come in for Zubimendi. If we've done enough background work and, we are definitely sure that you're going to go in for the player, then you're going to get the player. The only thing that is a danger in terms of that is, how quickly do Crystal Palace want to sell him? Does Crystal Palace have time to wait for Arsenal, to, get the money and come back in for him? Does Eberechi Eze really want to join Arsenal? Is he open to go to somewhere else? The good thing with players like Gyokeres and Mosquera, they 100% wanted to join Arsenal. So if the player 100% wants to join Arsenal, then there's nothing to worry about. Even if a Real Madrid comes in for him, even if a Man City comes in for him, just like Gyokeres and Declan Rice, you wouldn't have anything to worry about. But at that point, you have to be very sure that the player wants to join you and that they're definitely going to join you, whichever team comes in for him. So that is the update from Fabrizio Romano. We have more from Ben Jacobs. Ben Jacobs says Tottenham are aware that Eberechi Eze has bought into the Arsenal project, but believe that he has not discounted theirs. Spurs are prepared to move quickly, and their starting valuation is 55 million, with Palace wanting the 68 million release clause matched. So here Ben Jacobs tells us that Tottenham are already aware that Eze has bought into the Arsenal project already. So maybe Arsenal themselves believe that as well. Maybe they believe that, there's no need to rush. It doesn't matter which team come in for him, as he's going to join Arsenal. He's been here before. We've already had discussions with him. He wants to join Arsenal. He's being patient. He's going to wait for us to do everything else that we need to do before coming back in for him. We've already done that 3 times this transfer window. Mosquera was the same. We bid for Mosquera and then we didn't again for like 3 weeks because we knew he was definitely going to join Arsenal. He wasn't going to sign that contract. Gyokeres recently as well, and also Zubimendi, Real Madrid trying to come in for him, but Arsenal are like, now we have already gotten the player, we're going to come in for him, we're going to finalize the deal, and all of those 3 deals got over the line. So it depends on whether we want Eze as much as we wanted Gyokeres, as much as we wanted Mosquera, and all of those other guys. So Tottenham believe that he wants to join Arsenal, but believe he has not discounted a move to Tottenham. So it could possibly open up. Tottenham are in the Champions League as well. And the fact that they have those injuries now with Maddison out and Son leaving, there is a spot there for Eze to start every single game. Where would he play more? Probably Tottenham is where he would play more. Because at Arsenal, if he's going to be used as a left winger, he's going to be, not every game is going to start. If he is going to play the 10, he's not going to start every single game. If he's going to play the 8, he's still not going to start every single game. Because if you're going to use the double pivot we used against Bilbao the other day with Rice and Zubimendi, that means there's only 2 more spots for Eze to play there, either in the Odegaard role in the 10 or we play on the left wing, depending on which game we are playing. So all of those factors have to be looked at, and I'm sure he would play more at Tottenham because of there's a space there now that Maddison is not there and Son is not there. But it depends on him. Does he want the competition? Like Kepa joined us and said, "Hey, I would have gone anywhere else, but I want this competition. I want to come up against Raya. I believe I can be the fastest goalkeeper." Maybe it could be the same thing with Eze. Spurs are prepared to move quickly, and their starting valuation is 55 million, but Palace wants 68 million. So Tottenham are also not paying that 68 million that Crystal Palace want. Arsenal are not going to pay that 68 million as well. This is going to be now negotiations, and depending on how Crystal Palace are going to view this, are they going to move from that 68 million? Are they just going to say, hey, we want 68 million for Eze? If no one is paying that money, he's not going to leave. So we wait and see what happens with that one. But again, I keep on repeating, if Eze really wants to join Arsenal, and Arsenal are very, very sure that Eze is going to join Arsenal, they probably don't care about anyone else coming in for him. I mean, Man United tried to come back for Gyokeres, Real Madrid tried to come in for Zubimendi, Man City tried to come in for Rice. If they've already convinced the player that is going to join you, then there wouldn't be anything to worry about. But that depends on if we've had enough talks over the past 1 month, or is open to just, going anywhere. It's Tottenham is still in London. Everything else is still the same with Arsenal. In terms of moving from Crystal Palace, it is the same. Both teams have Champions League and probably has more game time over Tottenham. So let's see what is going to happen with this one now. Maybe this could benefit us in terms of moving quicker. I don't know. Sammy Mokbel has had this to say. It remains to be seen whether Tottenham's active interest in Eberechi Eze will result in Arsenal accelerating a move. That's exactly what I've just said right now. The Gunners are currently looking at trying to move players on. So again, if right now you see Arsenal, moving very quickly and selling, let's say, 3 players by tomorrow, and then we move back for Eze, then Tottenham asking for him would have meant that we've gone in quickly or quicker for him. But if we still don't move any quickly at all or any quicker, and we still, take our time and we still end up getting Eze, that means Arsenal, are very patient on this deal. They aren't really in a hurry. They didn't care which team would come in for him. But again, we wait and see what is going to happen. But it remains to be seen whether Tottenham's active interest will result in Arsenal accelerating a move for Eberechi Eze. So now we have 20 days, less than 3 weeks until the transfer window closes. We have a game, obviously, this weekend, 3 games before the transfer window closes, and it's tough games. So you'd have wanted to have Eze there against the Man United, against the Liverpool, against the Leeds, those teams that you want to break down and score goals against. But I'm still going to remain at the same 60% as I said yesterday. I'm 60% confident that Eze will join Arsenal. And despite Tottenham coming in, I'm still going to remain in the same percentage. Let's see if we really, really wanted Eze. That is from Sammy Mokbel. We also have one more from Ed Aarons. Ed Aarons says Mikel Arteta is understood to have identified Eberechi Eze as a player capable of giving Arsenal an extra edge against the deep defenses. So yeah, we know how much Eze would be beneficial for us, man. As competition for Odegaard in the 10, as someone to play next to Odegaard in the 10 as well, 2 number 10s. I'm imagining if you have Gyokeres up front, in a game where you're playing against Burnley at home or Sunderland at home and you're expecting those teams to defend, imagine you have Gyokeres up front and then Eze and Odegaard right behind him, and then you still have Saka on the right, and then you still have a left winger there, whether it's going to be Martinelli or someone. You have 5 attackers, and then you just need 1 defensive midfielder for that game. It could be anyone, it could be Rice, it could be Nørgaard, whoever is playing in that game. That is 5 attackers. Usually don't go that way. Now, we saw something different the other day. We had 2 defensive midfielders. We played with a double pivot with Rice and Zubimendi, and we saw how good we looked in that midfield. Now, can we also do that in an attacking sense as well? Can we have both Eze and Odegaard there at the same time to play against teams like those teams that we struggle to score at home, Everton and those teams, Fulham, teams that you're going to need more attacking options. that is what we need. We need players to have more options. We need Arteta to have more options. We need us to have unpredictability in terms of substitutions. You can do anything. You can add Madueke and have 6 attackers. You can throw in Eze even if he didn't start, and bring in the 5th attacker. All of that. That is what you want to see. So yeah, I still definitely think we need Eze. I don't think we've done enough so far. Gyokeres is good signing, and actually all the signings have been very good so far. Madueke has looked good off the bench the 2 games. Gyokeres has scored his first goal the other day, looked very good in that game. Kepa looked very good in the games that he played. We know Mosquera has looked very good as well. And then Zubimendi and Nørgaard have been my man of the match the last 2 games. So those signings have been great, but we still need more. Let's not leave ourselves short again. Go in and get Eze, and we're in a very, very good spot. Then at that point, you have even an extra attacking option. That would be absolutely fantastic, especially when you start hearing this. When you start hearing Trossard, Sammy Mokbel says Leandro Trossard is set to leave Arsenal this summer. There's no way, I'll repeat what I said yesterday, there's no way you're going to let Trossard go and not replace him. That would be crazy. That would be weakening your attack even more if you let Trossard go and not replace him at all. So Sammy Mokbel says that like very convincingly, says Leandro Trossard is set to leave Arsenal this summer. He did not say, he might leave or he could leave or he's thinking of leaving. He said Leandro Trossard is set to leave Arsenal this summer. And Sammy Mokbel is very reliable when it comes to Arsenal news, and he says that Trossard will leave Arsenal this summer. So again, there's not been any bids for Trossard so far. We've had that, Crystal Palace might want team. We've had, I think Napoli and Lazio might want team. Dortmund were mentioned as well. And we were told there's up to 3 teams that want Trossard in the Premier League. But there's no one who's really come in with a bid and said, here, we're trying to sign Trossard, there's a bid, and we've rejected it. Not at all. We've been told, there's been a bid for Kiwior that we rejected. There was a couple of bids before for a couple of other players. I mean, even Chelsea tried to sign Noni. But for Trossard, it hasn't been seen yet. I mean, we've had that 6-7 teams would want him, but no one has really made an offer for him as of now. But if they're saying he's set to leave, then it depends on how much money Arsenal want for him. How much money are we happy to get for him? He has 1 year remaining on his contract, so if you don't sell him this summer, you're going to lose him on a free next season, or you sell him in January for a very reduced fee, or when it actually gets to January, he can start speaking to other teams, obviously, as well, when he has 6 months remaining on his contract. So we have to decide whether we want to keep him, sell him, or sell him in January, keep him until January. But I think it would be crazy if we let go of Trossard and not replace him. It just doesn't make sense. I wanted Eze to come in as an extra midfield option next to Odegaard. So even if that is my option and Madueke is going to play on the left side, that still means we needed someone to back up Saka, unless we're actually going to use Dauman a lot next season. We have to wait and see. I wanted 2 players in every single position. So if we don't sign a left winger, and we let go of Trossard, even after we sign Eze as well, we'll still need Madueke to be very good on the left side and on the right side as well to help out Saka and to still help out Martinelli on the left side. So I'm still not sure about letting go of Trossard. Let's see which kind of offers you're going to get. But Sammy Mokbel says he's set to leave. So yeah, that is not an if, or maybe that sounds like he's definitely going to leave. But let's see. That is from Sammy Mokbel. What about Martinelli? Miguel Delaney says Arsenal are open to approaches for Gabriel Martinelli this summer. So I do think now for Trossard, there's definitely a big chance it's going to leave. For Martinelli, I don't think it's going to leave. Again, they don't think there's any way Arsenal is going to let both of them go, like when the season is starting. I also don't think, who is going to go and come and replace them? That's the other problem. If he already had signed players like Rodrygo, Nico Williams, or Leao, then we'd have been talking about, okay, we need to clear the wage bill and stuff. But the fact that we haven't signed any left winger, I can really be talking about selling both Martinelli and Trossard. You can't do that before you sign someone. You definitely cannot sell Trossard and Martinelli, both of them, before getting someone. You have Premier League games coming up, so you don't want to lose even one game and then you all of a sudden you're 5 points behind Liverpool and you haven't signed anyone yet. No, you have to be ready. So yes, Arsenal might be open to offers. We've had that since June that if a good offer like 70 million comes in for Martinelli, then we might end up selling him. But is there anyone who's going to come and give Arsenal 70 million for Martinelli right now? I doubt. That is where the difference is. If Arsenal are looking for money and Arsenal are desperate for money, Martinelli is the player that can give you that. Trossard cannot give you that. But if Arsenal are not desperate for money and they just want to, clear the players who contracts about to end, then they can sell Trossard. But for Martinelli, obviously, Trossard has been better than Martinelli in preseason. Even Madueke has looked good, better than Martinelli in those 2 games in preseason. But yeah, we are not going to get the 70 million for Martinelli. Even if you really want Martinelli to leave, there's no one who's going to come and give us 70 million for him right now. If someone does after those performances in preseason in the last 2 seasons, I'd be very shocked. So for Martinelli, even if Arsenal 100% wanted to get rid of him, it depends on which kind of offers come in for him. And if it's not 70 million, I don't expect him to be sold. It doesn't really look like Martinelli wanted to go anyway to Saudi Arabia when I think it was Al Nassr who wanted to sign him at that point. And Al Nassr have signed a lot of players since. They've actually strengthened their squad even more. So, yeah, I don't think it would be a good idea to sell both Martinelli and Trossard without getting a replacement. I wouldn't even be convinced even if you just let go of Trossard and don't get a replacement. For me, I'm not satisfied with that. So, again, it's going to be a busy. And we have less than 3 weeks. It's going to be very, very busy. Let's see how it goes. Now, unless we need that money, let's see. That is Martinelli from Miguel Delaney. Jakub Kiwior, Ghana blog says Jakub Kiwior is open to leaving for a club where he can be a regular starter. Arsenal are in no rush to sell. However, none of the clubs tracking Kiwior have yet met their asking price. So I think that is going to be a problem. Even if Kiwior wants to leave, if he wants to go and be a first team player, I mean, Kiwior can definitely be a first team player. Somewhere else is a very good defender, so he can definitely start for someone else. Now, the thing I would tell Kiwior is that, you're not going to sit on the bench at Arsenal for like 10 games in a row. No, you're going to play a part, whether it's coming on to play next to Gabriel and Saliba, whether it's coming on and playing next to Saliba and resting Gabriel. Kiwior is still going to make at least 20 plus Premier League appearances. He's still going to start some Champions League games. He's going to play all the Carabao Cup and FA Cup games. So he's going to have game time. With Zinchenko, it's different. Zinchenko might not play at all. He might only play like in the Carabao Cup because you have Lewis Skelly and Calafiori there, and Timber can also play there. But with Kiwior, despite Gabriel and Calafiori being able to play there, he would still play a part in the season. Kiwior has always played a part in all the 3 seasons he's been at Arsenal, so it's not like he's going to be on the bench for 20 games in a row without playing. But he might see himself as a player who can play 38 games out of 38, as a starter, which could also be true. He's open to leaving. But with that, we'll not be doing everything to keep him as well. I think defensively now with Calafiori's injuries and Gabriel coming back from injury and Timber coming back from injury, I don't think we can sell defenders. You could convince me to let go of Trossard if you're getting a replacement, but defensively, nah, I think Zinchenko is the only one who we can let go of, but the other players, we have 2 players in every single position. You cannot change that, especially with the injury problems. Literally all our defenders have had injury problems, apart from Miles. Ben White, surgery last season, Timber, surgery recently, Gabriel, surgery recently, Saliba missed the end of last season with I think it was a hamstring injury as well. And then we already know about Calafiori and even Zinchenko as well with the injury problems. So Kiwior is one of the fit players that we've had that haven't really had any injuries. So you have to keep a player like that. For me, I wouldn't be letting go of a player like that. And I don't think you're going to let go of him because of what Ghana Block says there. None of the clubs tracking Kiwior have yet to have met their asking price. So FC Porto are the team that made a bid for him around like 22, 23 million. Arsenal do not want that. What I want for Kiwior is 50 million plus. Have you seen all the players that have moved this summer? Players that you're like, this guy is being sold for 50 million, 60 million. Kiwior is playing Champions League quarterfinal and semi-final for us and playing very well and playing every single game for Poland. Yeah, that is a at least 50 million pound player. So if no one is going to pay that, or let's say 40 million plus 10 million in add-ons, there's still not anyone who's going to pay that at the moment, unless, especially the Serie A teams, there's no Serie A team that is going to come and pay you 50 million. If it is us who was buying Kiwior, or we're buying Kiwior from Spain or Italy, he would have been the one paying that kind of money. But them buying players from England, they're not going to pay that kind of money. So that's why I'm a little bit more confident Kiwior is going to stay. His wages are also not a problem. He's one of the players who get paid way less than 100,000 per week. So I'm confident we are going to keep him at Arsenal unless you're giving us 50 plus a million. Now, Zinchenko is different. Ghana Blog also says Zinchenko is available to leave Arsenal before the deadline, although the player is giving consideration to seeing out the final year of his contract and moving on a free transfer in 2026. Arsenal naturally would prefer a sale in this window. Now, with Zinchenko, it's also different. Sorry. With Kiwior, it's very important in our team. If someone is not there, as Kiwior comes in straight away. At left back, it's different. If Lewis Kelly is not there, Calafia is going to play there. If Calafia is not there, potentially Timber can play there as well. Zinchenko is not part of the 8, so we have 2 defenders in every single position, and then Zinchenko is the 9th defender at the moment, unless we're going to try and use him in midfield. We were told that a couple of the teams that want Zinchenko, including Fenerbahce, Mourinho wants to use him in midfield. Now, would he be happy with that? Maybe. Now, Zinchenko can just easily say, I'm going to wait for my contract to expire so that he can have more freedom in terms of choosing where he's going to go, and he's going to pocket that money that is going to be paid to get him on a free transfer. So for him, he has an opportunity to just wait for the contract to expire next year, and then wait for any other team that can come in for him, because right now Zinchenko gets paid 150k. I don't think there's anyone who's going to come in right now and pay 150k right away. He'd have to reduce his wages. So for him, he's still in his prime right now. He's 28 years of age. He still has, a good 6-7 years if he remains fit to play. So he can just say, I'm going to collect this 150k at Arsenal per week until next season, until like January. I'm going to look at my options, and then after that, I'm going to decide which team I'm going to go to. So for Zinchenko, he's on high wages. For him, I think Arsenal are definitely pushing to let him go, because 150k, you cannot compare with how much players like even Trossard is on less than that. Kiwior is on less than that. All the other players on like less than 100k, but Trossard is on 110k. But Zinchenko 150k, that's a lot of money. So that can be used elsewhere. And the fact that he's not part of the 8 defenders that we have, is the 9th one, then we should definitely be trying to let him go. But again, that depends on which teams try to sign him, how much money Arsenal want for him, and does Zinchenko really want to leave, or is he happy to stay one more year and collect as much money as he can? Or not just that, maybe he actually just wants to stay and try and help us win a trophy this year. Maybe just wants to do that. So let's see. But Arsenal would naturally prefer a sale in this window. So yeah, that's the latest. Kiwior, Zinchenko, Martinelli, Trossard, all linked with the move away today. And remember, there's still other players like Reece Nelson and Fabio Vieira and Albert Sambi-Lokong and Karl Heinz. So there's literally like 8-9 players whose futures are still being decided at the moment. We're still waiting to sell some of them. But do any of those deals have connections to Eze? If it does, then you're going to need to sell them as quickly as possible so that we can try and get Eze over the line. Hussein says, let Arsenal sign Eze as quickly as possible. Let's see. I doubt if you could sign Eze, we really need him, says Abu. It depends. If you really want him, you're going to get him. I'm not right about Tottenham wanting Eze if we really, really want him. Ever since we signed Declan Rice, even after Man City came in for him, I was like confident knowing that, okay, the background work actually does matter. If you talk to a player like we did with Rice, like we did with players like Mosquera, it matters. So you don't really worry about whoever else who is coming in for him. Zubimendi as well. I mean, Real Madrid tried to come in for Zubimendi late, but Arsenal just said, yeah, we don't care if you're Madrid. We've already discussed everything with the players going to join Arsenal. So if you've done the same thing with Eze, then we wouldn't have to worry about Tottenham. But yeah, it depends as well. Crystal Palace, if Tottenham go and pay them 80 million right now, Crystal Palace would be like, hey, there's no one else who's going to pay us this kind of money. But Tottenham, luckily as well, they don't want to go to that 68 million as well. They only want to pay 50 something. So maybe that could also help. Eze, please, how much are you sure, Mr. Glenn, for getting Eze? 60%. I care. A good player attracts many teams during transfer saga. Arsenal fans take up. Yeah, I never thought I would just get Eze without anyone else wanting him. For Rodrygo, I've always been saying from the first video talked about Rodrygo, even if you want Rodrygo, if you're going to get Rodrygo, it's not going to be just Arsenal wanting Rodrygo. Man City is going to come in for him. Bayern Munich is going to come in for him. PSG is going to come in for him. Eze as well. Before anyone signs Eze, there's going to be at least 3 or 4 teams that are going to ask for him. Maybe not Liverpool at this point because they're going for other players, but Tottenham have asked. Chelsea will always ask for a player. You don't be surprised if you hear Chelsea also want Eze and then someone else as well. So at that point, it depends on how much you've talked to Eze and if he really wants to join you. Good afternoon, Balagan. Arike says, please subscribe and smash the like button. Thank you. Nelly says Eze shouldn't sign for Spurs based on UCL. It will take 5 years again for Spurs to play UCL again. Yeah, good thing again is being at Arsenal. Let's hope that also helps him in that decision. He's been at Arsenal. Don't go to Tottenham. The way he scored that twice, I think, against Tottenham last season, the way he celebrated made me think he doesn't like Tottenham. Surely you're not going to go there, but you never know. Football is football. You can end up anywhere, man. I never even thought Aubameyang would play for Chelsea, so anything can happen. Anything can happen. Jerry says, hello, bro. Are we going to sign Eze and any other players? Which players can probably leave this summer? I'm only expecting us to sign one more player. I don't think we're going to sign more than that. Players who are going to leave, there's still like 6 players who are going to leave Arsenal, like 6 players who are going to leave still. It could even be more than that, depending on how quickly we move. I don't think we're going to keep players like Carline or Lokonga. Those ones are definitely going to leave. Even if we don't get enough money for him, he might get to a point where Arsenal just like, yeah, just go, even if it's for 10 million, just leave. Eze should come to us and says Ale. Yeah, again, on Eze, it also depends on how much game time he thinks he's going to get. At Tottenham, because Maddison is injured now and Son left and they didn't get Gibbs White, there is a spot there for Eze to start. At Arsenal, if you're playing a double pivot, that means there's only 2 spots for him to play. The 10, where Odegaard is playing, or you play on the left wing, where Martinelli is. So he's not going to be a start every single day, but maybe at Tottenham is going to be a start every single day, depending. You never know what the coaching team is thinking. Maybe Eze comes to Arsenal and he plays every single game. I don't know. I mean, people have been saying before that Havertz is going to start ahead of Gyokeres, but we don't know that. Maybe Gyokeres is actually just going to start every single game, and Havertz is going to have to look, come off the bench or play next to Gyokeres. So it depends. How true is it that Tottenham wants to hijack Eze? Yeah, Tottenham were the first team that wanted Eze actually. When the transfer window, Tottenham have wanted Eze since last year. Last year, we never really wanted Eze. When we actually mentioned as a potential destination for Eze like 2 months ago, I was surprised, though. That's why at the beginning of the transfer window, I said I wanted Gyokeres, I wanted any left winger. It was Nico Williams or Rodrygo, and I wanted an extra number 10 attacking midfield, and I went for Rodgers from Aston Villa, because at that point I never thought Eze would leave Crystal Palace, or even if he left Crystal Palace, I always thought he was going to go to Tottenham. But after that, Tottenham started being linked to other players, and then we started hearing that Arsenal have talked to Eze, and Rare Batters had meetings. Eze is a former Arsenal player; he might want to join us as well. So at that point, I thought, okay, it is possible. But yeah, Tottenham. Basically, what is happening is Tottenham is coming back for Eze once again. Please let us sell Martinelli, Nelson, Vieira, Zinchenko, and Trossard, then get Eze for us. I still don't like that. I still don't like that one. I don't like the idea of selling 5 players to bring in 1 player. Now, we don't need Vieira. We don't need Nelson. If Zinchenko's on high wages, that is fine. If it's between, I wouldn't say sell Martinelli and Trossard, both of them, to bring Eze. Okay, so what if Eze comes in at Arsenal and gets injured for 3 months? Who plays there? No backup. So I don't think you can do that. You can sell 1, but not 2. You still need other players on the bench. Eze is not going to play for you 60 games out of 60. You have to also plan that way. So for me, if you're going to if money is the problem at Arsenal, then we are going to have to sell all of those players for good money, you know. Try and get 20 million for Zinchenko, try and get more than 15, more than 20 for Vieira and Nelson, depending on how much you can get. They still Lokonga as well. They still Karl Hein that you didn't mention there. So again, it also depends on which teams want them. You know, we can easily, even if I wanted both Martinelli and Trossard to go as well, it depends on which teams are coming in for them. You know, you also have to wait for teams to actually make offers for them. And as of now, there's no one who's really made offers for Martinelli or Trossard or Lokonga. So you just have to wait and see. I don't think Martinelli is going to leave Arsenal anyway. Trossard might. I don't think Martinelli is going to leave. I still prefer Trossard to Martinelli, says Ali. Yeah, but, you know, Trossard's contract is expiring next year. And also they also look at age. Martinelli is like 8 years younger than Trossard. So Trossard is going to play for you for 1 year, and maybe they look at Martinelli as a player who can play for 10 years for you. Marquez says, I'm not scared of Tottenham. On that deal, maybe we are not going to get Eze due to matter of game time. Yeah, game time is important. He's definitely going to play more at Tottenham because he's not going to get more playing time for us while he's going to get enough playing time for Tottenham. Now, that depends. You know, Kepa said, you know, I would have gone to any other team, but I'm still going to go to Arsenal despite Raya being the fast choice goalkeeper because I like that competition. So it depends on which kind of player Eze is. If he wants to go and be a fast team player and play every single game, or he just wants to join, you know, his former team, his childhood team in Arsenal, and wants to fight for a position. Let's see. If those clubs are not ready to pay, then they better not distract our players. Yeah, players like Kiwior, if you're not ready to pay 50 million plus, just forget about it. I don't want us to sell Kiwior anyway, because when you sell Kiwior, you're going to start looking for another defender again. I do not think that Kiwior will leave, as the fee for him is the stumbling block, and Zinchenko, it's his wages, and as for Vieira, it's transfer fee, as well as Nelson in the same situation. For Zinchenko, yes, I don't think anyone is going to pay him 150k per week, so he might just stay until his contract expires, unless we give him a new contract. For Nelson and Vieira, I think they're going to leave. I can't see Nelson and Vieira staying at Arsenal. Eventually, Arsenal will just let them go, even if it's for cheap. Let's see how Andrea Bata works. Previously, we've been used to doing that. You know, if a player doesn't leave or we don't get any offers, we just let them go for free. I think we cancelled Luis' contract. I'm pretty sure we cancelled Socrates' contract. We cancelled a lot of contracts at some point. Ozil as well. We never got any money for any of those players. Which left winger is coming? I don't think you're going to get a left winger. I think if Eze comes, the one who's going to be used there with Martinelli and Madueke. We need to replace Trossard because for Martinelli alone, I can't trust him, says Simon. Why is Arsenal so quiet now and not doing anything about Eze? Please let's get Eze as quick as possible. We really need him to debutize. Odegaard, says Jude. Really need Eze at Arsenal, says Cesar. Hi Glenn, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Musa Tamina says Vinicius Jr. to Arsenal. Yeah, that is definitely not happening. 0% on that one. He's not going to leave Real Madrid. That is like Saka leaving Arsenal right now. There's players where you can see, yeah, even if they're going to leave their team, it's not going to be now. It's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years, not now. Chris says from Zambia, bring Eze for me. If Arsenal cannot get Eze, they should please get Rafa Leao, says Jude. I hope all is going well. I personally like to see Eze in Arsenal. That would be a great signing, man. I cannot wait. He already looks good in an Arsenal shirt. I hope we can get it done, man. I would absolutely love it. It would change our lives completely. See, the way we've been so excited seeing Madueke playing on the left side, it would be even more with Eze, like having different attackers there, people who can transition quickly, people who can counter-attack. All of these players can do that for us. Signing Sa, not Eze, says Godfrey. Sa is a good player, but I haven't really had anyone being linked to him at all. Surprisingly, players like Mateta and Sa, you'd think a lot of teams would want them, but I've not really had anyone wanting those players. What do you think of Jesus recovering and playing on that left wing? He can be a good one. Michael, the thing with Jesus is he's on a lot of money. He's one of the highest paid players at Arsenal. And then number 2, yes, he can come and play on that left wing. I remember he did that. I remember, was it last season? I think, oh no, it was previous season. There's a season where Jesus, like when he scored, I think it was last season, when he scored a hat-trick against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup, the next few games he was playing in the left wing. The very next game against Crystal Palace that same week, he played on the left wing and scored 2 goals. I think he also played against Brighton on the left wing. He's done a good job there. I think he also played against Man City on the left wing, but The problem with Jesus is, yes, he can play there, but he'll play 2 games, Michael, and then he'll be injured again. That's the problem. But yeah, he's on high wages. He's on very high wages. So I think if Jesus recovers, he's one of the players Arsenal is definitely going to try and let go. Mahumuza says, hi, bro. Talk about Jesus. Is he going to feature for us this season? For Jesus, it's tough. We haven't heard anything over the last 10 days about him leaving. He's still injured, so you also need the team to come in for him despite him being injured. So for me, I think maybe he's going to leave in January or something. If he recovers before then, he's still an Arsenal player, he's obviously going to play. I've had a lot of people saying they would prefer Jesus as a backup for Gyokeres. I still don't think Jesus was completely useless. I mean, 2 seasons ago, he was our best player in the Champions League. When we came back the first time, when we were playing Bayern and Sevilla and all those guys, Jesus was our best player in the Champions League that season. But his game is not finishing. If you have Jesus as a striker to finish chances for us, that is not it. Maybe if you have him behind the striker and you have him dribbling and all those, yeah, but I've also heard that since he's had 2 knee operations, that twisting and turning will be a little bit different now. So it's a bit worrying. Maybe he'll have to change his style of play, and that is like his strong point. Playing time for Eze and Arsenal is there. Eze can play 3 positions. He can, but at Tottenham he would start every single game. But you can't convince him at Arsenal that he would start every single game. You cannot tell Eze that you're going to start every single game ahead of Odegaard. That is not possible. We know that. And on the left wing, maybe you can tell him there's still games that Martinelli is going to start. So he can play 3 positions, but those 3 positions, the third one is if you bench either Rice or Zubimendi, and Rice and Zubimendi are not really going to be benched. Just in most of those Premier League games, it's going to be a double pivot. So really, you only have 2 positions for him. Unless you bench Rice for Eze to play or you bench Zubimendi for Eze to play, which I also can't see happening. So it's either he plays next to Odegaard or he replaces Odegaard or he plays on the left wing. And if he plays next to Odegaard, it means you're dropping Rice or Zubimendi. So I don't think it's going to happen. Jesus will be used as a winger, says Mwanza. Could be. I mean, as a striker, is not going to be as a striker now since we have Gyokeres and Havertz. Is going to have to be used on that left wing. Even he's played as a right winger before for us, and he's played well. His debut for Arsenal, he played on the right wing against Nuremberg, and he played really well. But yeah, his wages are so high. Using him as a backup for a few games. I mean, Jesus can still help you win trophies, but not in terms of scoring goals or playing every single time. He might contribute coming off the bench and starting a few games in the wing, but you'd have to really pray on his fitness as well, because he can, like last season, he started playing well, scoring 3 goals, 2 goals. He scored against Brentford as well. Boom, another injury after 1 month. So it's very tough to get any consistency. But Jesus is also very young. He's still nowhere near 30 as well. Trossard is better and cheaper than Martinelli, says Christopher. He is, but if Arsenal are looking for money, then Martinelli is the one that is going to be sold if Arsenal is looking for money. If it is in terms of age, that is how the teams look at players as well. They're not going to sell Martinelli and keep Trossard. I don't think so. Trossard is about to retire, let's say, and Martinelli still has like 15 years to play in his career. So Arsenal could look at it like, let's hope Martinelli plays well this season and the next season, and then we can sell him for 90 million after that. But for Trossard, you cannot sell him for 90 million at any point now. So all of that is they consider all of that. They definitely look at age as well before selling players and buying players. I had Eze is bad on the wing. Nah, Eze is very good at dribbling and all that, and cutting into his right foot. He's going to do a good job for you there. Cutting in and even shooting the ball and creating chances, he's going to do that for you. Probably is going to feature more in the central positions for us, but let's wait and see. But those are the updates we have today on Eze, Trossard, Martinelli, Kiwior and Zinchenko. Let's hope we can get Eze, and then you can sell the players that we need to sell. As of now, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.